Why do some men feel uneasy around Sigma females? Is it intimidation or something deeper? Sigma females are a force of nature, unapologetic, independent, and completely in control of their own lives. But with great power comes great misunderstanding. The very traits that make them exceptional can also be the reason why they often stand alone. Let's break it down. The term Sigma female is still new to many, but the essence has always existed. Women who don't fit into the traditional categories of alpha or beta. They move differently, they think differently, they lead without demanding attention. A Sigma female is fiercely self-reliant. She never waits to be saved. Confident without the need for validation. Her worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. Unlike the alpha female who commands the room or the beta female who follows the crowd, the Sigma female walks alone, not because she has to, but because she chooses to. And that changes everything. Why men might feel intimidated. For centuries, society has followed a well-established script. Men are expected to lead and women are expected to follow. This dynamic has shaped relationships, workplaces, and social structures for generations. But Sigma females don't fit into that mold. They don't just bend the rules, they break them entirely, and that's where the tension begins. Sigma females are independent by nature. They don't wait for permission to act, and they certainly don't look to others for approval. While many people are conditioned to seek validation, whether from partners, peers, or society, Sigma females operate on a completely different frequency. Their confidence isn't performative, it's deeply ingrained. They know what they want, and they pursue it without hesitation. And for men who are used to women seeking their guidance, reassurance, or leadership, this can be unsettling. It's not that Sigma females are trying to challenge men or prove a point. They're simply living life on their own terms. But when a woman refuses to conform to traditional expectations, it can feel disruptive to those who rely on those norms to feel secure. In a world where many men are accustomed to playing the dominant role in relationships, encountering a woman who doesn't need them to lead can trigger feelings of inadequacy or even resentment. Some may misinterpret her independence as arrogance, her self-sufficiency as a lack of interest, and her refusal to be controlled as defiance. One of the key traits that set Sigma females apart is their unpredictability. They don't operate within the same social frameworks as others. They aren't interested in playing games or following traditional relationship timelines. While some women might subtly adjust their personalities to be more likable or accommodating, Sigma females show up exactly as they are. This unpredictability can be unsettling for men who prefer a structured, predictable dynamic in relationships. When they can't easily anticipate a woman's next move or control the direction of the relationship, they may feel powerless. Power is a critical factor in why some men feel intimidated by Sigma females. For generations, power in relationships has often been unbalanced, whether financially, emotionally, or socially. Many men have been conditioned to believe that their worth is tied to being the provider, the decision-maker, or the protector. But what happens when they meet a woman who doesn't need those things from them? A woman who is financially independent, emotionally stable, and capable of handling life's challenges on her own. Suddenly, their traditional role is no longer necessary, and that can feel threatening. It's important to understand that Sigma females don't reject relationships or companionship. They simply don't seek them out of necessity. They value deep connections, but they don't settle just to fill a void. They don't fear being alone. They embrace it. And that can be confusing for men who have been raised to believe that a woman's ultimate goal is to find a partner and build a life around him. When a Sigma female prioritizes her own growth, success, and happiness above external validation, it challenges deeply rooted societal beliefs about relationships and gender roles. For insecure men, This level of self-sufficiency can feel like rejection, even when it's not. A Sigma female isn't pushing men away. She's simply not molding herself to fit their expectations. She isn't being cold. She's just selective about where she invests her energy. She isn't difficult. She just refuses to compromise her values for the sake of making someone else comfortable. But to men who are used to women adjusting their personalities to accommodate them, this can feel unfamiliar, even confrontational. And that's why many men choose to walk away. Not because Sigma females are doing anything wrong, but because they represent something different, something that requires a shift in mindset, a higher level of confidence, and a willingness to embrace a partnership based on mutual respect rather than control. Some men are ready for that, others not so much. But here's the truth. A woman who knows her worth will always be intimidating to those who don't know theirs. And the right kind of man, he won't be scared, he'll be inspired. Wait a second. Did you know that 98% of viewers watch videos like this without subscribing or hitting the like button? If you've made it this far, chances are you're finding this content valuable. So do me a favor, hit that like button to support this message and subscribe so you never miss a video. It's free and it helps more Sigma females find content that truly speaks to them. All right, now let's get back into it. The power of confidence. The secret behind the Sigma female's energy is simple. She knows exactly who she is. There is no second guessing, no need to prove herself to anyone, and certainly no desperation for validation. She doesn't rely on external approval to feel worthy, nor does she adjust her personality to fit into societal molds. Her confidence isn't loud, boastful, or attention-seeking. It's quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself because it speaks through her actions, her decisions, and the way she carries herself. In a world where so many people are still searching for their identity, a woman who is completely self-assured stands out. While others compare themselves to social media standards, chase trends, or mold their personalities to be more likable, a Sigma female simply exists as she is. She isn't swayed by fleeting opinions, nor does she feel the need to compete with anyone. She understands that true confidence comes from self-acceptance, not from being the loudest in the room, not from proving superiority over others, and certainly not from chasing validation from people who don't matter. Sigma females don't compete because they don't see the point. Competing means comparing yourself to someone else, and that's simply not in their nature. They don't waste time worrying about what another woman is doing, what society expects from them, or whether they measure up to someone else's standards. Their only focus is on being the best version of themselves. They measure success on their own terms, not by society's definition. They don't feel threatened by other women's beauty, success, or relationships because they know their own value isn't dependent on anyone else's. This is what makes them different. They don't pretend to be someone they're not, and they don't feel the need to perform for anyone's approval. Their authenticity is their superpower. Unlike people who are constantly seeking outside affirmation to feel secure, Sigma females find security within themselves. They don't need a relationship to feel complete, a high-status job to feel successful, or a certain number of followers to feel important. They create their own validation. They build their own confidence by proving to themselves, not to the world, that they are capable, strong, and worthy. This mindset allows them to move through life with an energy that is both magnetic and intimidating. But here's the thing, confidence isn't the enemy, it's the standard. A Sigma female doesn't believe that her confidence should be seen as arrogance or intimidation. If someone feels threatened by it, that's not her problem, it's theirs. Confidence should be the baseline, not the exception. Every woman should feel empowered to own her space. pursue her goals, and embrace who she is without fear of judgment. Yet society often conditions women to downplay their strengths, to be more agreeable, to shrink themselves so others feel comfortable. Sigma females reject that notion entirely. They don't apologize for being who they are, and they don't minimize their achievements to make others feel better. They know that true empowerment comes from within, and they refuse to settle for anything less than what they deserve. This level of confidence isn't just about self-assurance, it's about freedom. The freedom to walk away from anything that doesn't align with their values, the freedom to set boundaries without guilt, the freedom to choose themselves without feeling selfish. Sigma females understand that confidence isn't about being fearless, it's about acknowledging fear and pushing forward anyway. It's about trusting themselves enough to take risks, to stand alone if necessary, and to never compromise their integrity for the sake of fitting in. At the end of the day, Sigma females aren't trying to be intimidating, they're just living authentically. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, so be it. The right ones will respect it, the wrong ones will misunderstand it. And a Sigma female, she'll keep moving forward regardless. Beyond the intimidation, not every man is afraid of a Sigma female. In fact, the ones who aren't intimidated by her strength, independence, and self-assurance are the ones who truly respect her. These men understand that real relationships, healthy, balanced partnerships, aren't built on control, dominance, or outdated gender roles. Instead, they're built on mutual respect, shared values, and the freedom to be exactly who you are without fear of judgment. A Sigma female doesn't need a man to validate her worth, and the right kind of man. He knows that. He doesn't feel threatened by her confidence. He's drawn to it. He recognizes that a strong woman isn't his competition. She's his equal. A common misconception about Sigma females is that they are cold, distant, or incapable of deep emotional connections. But that couldn't be further from the truth. They aren't unfeeling, they're just highly selective. They don't waste time on shallow relationships, meaningless interactions, or people who drain their energy. While some may mistake their emotional independence for indifference, the reality is that Sigma females feel deeply. They love intensely, but they love with intention. They don't fall for just anyone, and they don't let people in easily. Not because they're guarded for no reason, but because they understand the value of their energy. When a Sigma female chooses to open up to someone, it's not a game. There are no power struggles, no emotional manipulation, and no hidden agendas. She doesn't play hard to get. She simply is hard to get, because she refuses to settle for anything less than something real. Unlike people who jump into relationships out of loneliness, insecurity, or social pressure, a Sigma female enters relationships from a place of wholeness. She doesn't need a partner to complete her. She wants a partner who complements her. That's a major difference. And that's why the real question isn't, why do Sigma females scare men? The real question is, why aren't more men ready for them? Because the truth is, it takes a certain kind of man to handle a woman who doesn't need him, but chooses him. It takes confidence, emotional security, and a strong sense of self to stand beside a Sigma female without feeling the need to control, tame, or diminish her. It takes a man who isn't looking for a woman to boost his ego, stroke his insecurities, or follow his lead without question. It takes a man who values a woman for her mind, her ambition, her independence, not just for what she can do for him. And unfortunately, not every man is ready for that level of partnership. Society has conditioned many men to believe that their worth is tied to being needed. They are taught that a woman should depend on them for stability, protection, or validation. So when they meet a Sigma female who is entirely self-sufficient, who isn't seeking external validation, and who doesn't need a relationship to feel whole. It forces them to re-evaluate everything they've been taught about love, power, and masculinity. And for some, that's a tough pill to swallow. It's easier to label her as too difficult, too intimidating, or too independent than to confront their own insecurities. But the men who are ready, they see a Sigma female for who she truly is. They admire her strength, not fear it. They appreciate her directness, not resent it. They understand that her independence doesn't mean she doesn't want love. It simply means she won't accept anything less than what she deserves. They don't try to change her, dim her light, or make her more manageable. Instead, they rise to meet her at her level. And when that happens, it creates a partnership built on authenticity, respect, and unshakable trust. A Sigma female isn't afraid of being alone, but she's also not afraid of love. She just refuses to settle for anything less than a connection that adds to her life rather than takes away from it. And that's why the right man won't be intimidated, he'll be inspired. Sigma females, a new era of feminine power. We're living in a time where women no longer have to shrink themselves to be accepted, to be loved, or to be considered valuable. The world is evolving, shedding outdated expectations and making space for something new, something bold. And Sigma females? They're leading the way. They are the embodiment of what it means to live life on your own terms, to reject societal pressures, and to redefine what success, love, and fulfillment truly look like. For generations, women were told they had to follow a script, be soft, be agreeable, be accommodating. But that narrative no longer holds power, because today, women are no longer asking for permission to exist as they are. They are choosing to be unapologetic in their ambition, their confidence, and their independence. Sigma females don't fit into neat little boxes. They don't subscribe to traditional roles, and they don't chase validation from a world that struggles to understand them. Instead, they create their own paths, carve out their own success, and define happiness in a way that is authentic to them. They know that fulfillment doesn't come from meeting society's expectations. It comes from living a life that aligns with their deepest values and desires. Whether that means building a career that fuels their passion, traveling the world alone, embracing solitude, or choosing relationships based on depth rather than necessity, Sigma females make choices that serve their highest selves, not the expectations of others. This shift in mindset, this era of feminine power, isn't about rejecting love, partnership, or connection. It's about shifting the foundation of what those things mean. Sigma females don't see relationships as a means of completion, but as an extension of their already whole selves. They don't measure success by marriage, social status, or how well they fit into a predefined mold. Instead, they measure it by how true they remain to themselves, how much they grow, and how deeply they impact the world around them. They are living proof that you don't have to be loud to be powerful, and you don't have to be dominant to be respected. You just have to be real. And that's why the presence of a Sigma female is so compelling. She doesn't seek attention, yet she commands it. She doesn't beg for love, yet she attracts it. She doesn't conform, yet she thrives. In a world that often demands women be smaller, quieter, and easier to digest, Sigma females refuse to shrink. They stand tall in their truth, knowing that their power doesn't come from how others perceive them, it comes from within. They are walking reminders that women can be soft yet strong, independent yet loving, ambitious yet at peace. They prove that femininity isn't a singular experience, but a vast and evolving spectrum of strength, grace, and resilience. So to every Sigma female watching this, stay unapologetic, stay powerful, stay you. The world may not always understand you, and some people may fear what they can't control. but the right people. They won't be scared. They'll be inspired. Inspired by your confidence, your authenticity, and your ability to stand firm in a world that constantly tries to reshape you. Keep moving forward, keep creating your own path, and never forget, your power is not in how well you fit in, but in how boldly you stand out. But here's the thing, this unruliness and unpredictability can be a real turn-off for men who are used to a more traditional, controllable dynamic. You see, Sigma females challenge the established gender roles that have long dictated how a woman should behave. Instead of meekly deferring to male authority, you take charge and lead the way. You're not afraid to voice your opinions, make tough decisions, and blaze your own trail. This can be deeply unsettling for men who are accustomed to a more predictable, subservient female archetype. These men see your leadership and assertiveness as a direct threat to their own sense of power and control. After all, how can they maintain their position as the alpha when you're the one calling the shots? It shatters their fragile egos and forces them to confront the reality that the old patriarchal system is crumbling. They realize that the days of women meekly accepting male dominance are long gone, and that's a hard pill to swallow. This fear of losing control manifests in various ways. Some men may try to undermine your confidence by nitpicking your decisions or questioning your competence. Others might resort to outright intimidation, trying to bully you into submission through aggressive displays of masculinity. And then there are those who simply disengage, choosing to avoid Sigma females altogether because they can't handle the challenge to their traditional power dynamic. At the heart of it all is a deep-seated insecurity. These men have built their sense of self-worth on the notion that they must be the ones in charge, the ones who call the shots. Your very existence as a Sigma female shatters that illusion, forcing them to confront the reality that true power and strength come not from dominating others, but from within. And that's a reality they're often not prepared to face. It's a tale as old as time, the threatened male ego lashing out against the empowered woman. But you, dear Sigma female, refuse to be cowed. You stand tall and unapologetic, your unwavering confidence and self-assurance a beacon of inspiration to all who dare to defy societal expectations. And in the end, it is those fragile men who will be left behind, unable to keep up with the unstoppable force that is the Sigma female. And let's not forget the deep-seated fear of losing control that some men experience when confronted with the presence of a Sigma female. You see, these women have a way of commanding a room simply by walking into it. Their very essence exudes a sense of authority and self-assurance that demands attention and respect, not the validation or approval that many men are accustomed to receiving from the women in their lives. For men who have grown up in a culture that has long reinforced the notion of male dominance, this can be a jarring and unsettling experience. They're used to being the ones in charge, the decision makers, the alpha figures who dictate the dynamics of their relationships. But when a Sigma female enters the picture, that carefully constructed power structure starts to crumble. Suddenly, they're faced with a woman who doesn't require their permission or validation to feel empowered. She has her own unwavering sense of self, her own firmly rooted values and aspirations that take precedence over pleasing the men around her, and this can be a real threat to their fragile egos. After all, if a woman can be so self-assured and self-sufficient, what need does she have for a man's leadership or protection? How can these men maintain their position as the alpha if the Sigma female is the one calling the shots and forging her own path? It's a challenge to the very core of their masculinity, and they often react with a primal fear of losing control. This fear can manifest in a variety of ways. Some men might try to exert their dominance through overt displays of machismo, hoping to intimidate the Sigma female into submission. They might interrupt her, talk over her, or even resort to physical posturing to assert their authority. Others might withdraw entirely, choosing to avoid these empowered women altogether rather than face the discomfort of their own insecurities. And then there are those who try to undermine the Sigma female's confidence through more subtle means. They might nitpick her decisions, question her competence, or try to sow seeds of doubt in her mind. Anything to chip away at that unwavering self-assurance and restore the traditional power dynamic. But you, dear Sigma female, refuse to be cowed. You stand tall and unapologetic, your gaze unwavering and your voice commanding respect. You don't need their validation or approval to feel secure in your own skin. In fact, you don't even entertain the notion that you should. And this, more than anything, is what truly terrifies the men who are accustomed to being the ones in charge. Because when a Sigma female walks into the room, she doesn't just demand attention, she demands that the very foundations of traditional gender roles be challenged and rewritten. She represents a profound shift in the balance of power, a testament to the fact that true strength and authority come not from dominating others, but from within. And for those men who cling to the old ways, unable to adapt to this new reality, the Sigma female can be a confronting and unsettling presence. She forces them to confront their own insecurities, their own fear of losing control, and ultimately their own outdated notions of masculinity. It's a battle of egos, a clash of worldviews, and one that the Sigma female is more than ready to win. But here's the catch. Healthy relationships with Sigma females require mutual respect and open communication. These women are not looking for someone to control or dominate them, nor are they interested in controlling anyone else. They thrive in relationships that feel balanced, where both partners are equally committed to understanding, supporting, and uplifting one another. For a Sigma female, it's not about being tamed or having her independence diminished. She values her freedom and autonomy immensely. It's a core part of who she is. To try and strip that away would be like asking her to stop breathing. Instead, a relationship with a Sigma female is about walking beside her as an equal, not ahead, as if you're trying to lead her or overshadow her, and not behind, as if you're intimidated by her strength or ambition. It's about recognizing that she's a whole, complete person with her own dreams, goals, and complexities, and appreciating her for exactly that. Sigma females don't conform to traditional relationship dynamics where one partner is expected to be dominant and the other submissive. They seek connection that runs deeper, built on understanding and mutual respect, rather than control or one-sided compromise. This means being willing to listen, to have honest conversations, and to navigate challenges together as equals. Their complexity isn't something to fear or avoid. It's something to cherish. It's a reflection of their depth, their intelligence, and their unique perspective on the world. A partner who truly values a Sigma female will see her independence not as a threat, but as a gift. They'll understand that loving her means embracing her strength, supporting her ambitions, and celebrating the fact that she doesn't need anyone to complete her. She chooses someone to complement her, and that in itself is a powerful and rare kind of bond. So, to every Sigma female watching this, don't ever let the world dim your light because it's too bright for some. Stay true to who you are. The right people will see your worth, and the ones who don't. They were never meant to walk your path anyway. What do you think? Have you ever been told you're too independent, too intense, or too much? Drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. And if you're ready to fully embrace your Sigma power, hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning.